Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you've ever found yourself totally paralyzed, maybe staring blankly at a screen or up at the ceiling at 2 a.m., just exhausted by a storm of your own thoughts, you are absolutely not alone. Analysis paralysis is this deeply painful, draining experience, and it literally robs you of your time and your energy. But today, we're going to fix that. We're diving into a highly effective toolkit drawn from some of the world's greatest mindset coaches, psychologists, and philosophers. I've been really digging into this material, and our goal here is simple: to permanently break the habit of overthinking and help you master your momentum.
Okay, so here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The overthinking trap. 2. Shift your physical state. 3. Break the neural circuit. 4. Detach from the noise. 5. Spot, stop, swap. And finally, 6. Dump, decide, and execute. Let's kick things off with part 1. The overthinking trap, reframing the paralysis. We have to start right here by completely changing your paradigm. Because before we can apply any of these elite tools, we need to reframe the actual problem. Overthinking isn't some deep, unchangeable part of who you are. Actually, in the world of high-performance coaching, looping on those same anxious thoughts is recognized simply as a bad cognitive habit. And honestly, discovering this was a massive relief. It completely removes the guilt and that false identity you might have attached to your anxiety. When you realize that overthinking is really just a mechanical failure in your thought process, a structural trap rather than your destiny, you instantly gain the power to dismantle it. There's a huge difference between a personality trait and a cognitive habit. If overthinking were a personality trait, well, you'd be stuck with it forever. But because it's just a cognitive habit, a learned behavior, it can absolutely be broken. Think about what this looks like in your daily life. You know the feeling. You get a slightly ambiguous email from your boss, and suddenly you've spent 45 minutes drafting replies in your head while your actual work just sits there untouched. That's just a conditioned response. Habits are built by repetition, but guess what? They are destroyed by interruption. And that is exactly what we're going to do today using 5 ultimate counters.
Moving right into part 2, shift your physical state, the physiology pattern interrupter.
So shifting from the abstract mind to the visceral body, our very first protocol acknowledges a fundamental rule of human biology. You cannot fix a toxic mental loop using the exact same physical posture that created it. Overthinking thrives when you are physically still and taking shallow breaths. I found this concept so fascinating because it completely shifts the battlefield. High-performance coach Tony Robbins teaches that emotion is created by motion. So the fastest way to disrupt an overthinking storm isn't to try and outthink it. No way. It's a radical shift in your physiology. Stand up, change your breathing, change your environment. Like Robbins famously says, if you're in your head, you're dead. You have to force yourself out of the mind and into the body.
To truly lock this physical shift in, you can channel David Goggins by driving directly into physical friction. Imagine it's midnight, your mind is racing, running through all these worst-case scenarios. Instead of lying there trying to rationalize with yourself, you immediately engage your body. Drop and do 20 push-ups, run a quick sprint, or step into a freezing cold shower. Why does this work so well? Because forcing your body into intense action literally silences your mind's inner governor. It radically shifts your brain out of that paralyzing analysis and drops it straight into survival-driven execution. You shock your system back into the present moment, giving yourself a clean slate. All right, part 3, break the neural circuit, the 5-second breaker.
So, there is this critical, fleeting window, just seconds long, between your initial impulse to act and the moment your brain fabricates a massive web of excuses to keep you quote-unquote safe in inaction. We need to break that neural circuit. To do that, we look at Mel Robbins' world-renowned 5-second rule. The exact moment you notice yourself hesitating or overanalyzing, you mentally count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Now, this isn't just some cute motivational trick. It's pure neuroscience. Counting backward requires deliberate focus from your prefrontal cortex. By engaging the logical part of your brain, you actively hijack your amygdala, which is your brain's fear center, before it even has the chance to trigger that paralyzing loop. You can pair this awesome countdown with brain performance expert Jim Kwik's method to crush ants, or automatic negative thoughts. You know what these are. An ants is that immediate, uninvited voice that pops up, saying things like, I'm definitely going to bomb this presentation, or they must be mad at me because they haven't texted back yet. The secret here is that you must treat the end of that countdown, that go, as an absolute non-negotiable command to execute. By stepping cleanly across the line into immediate action the very second you hit 1, you clear your brain's processing bandwidth and build a physical bias toward momentum, squashing those negative thoughts before they can even multiply.
Slowing our pace down a bit for part 4, detach from the noise, the witness, and rewrite protocol. Here, we pivot to a more philosophical approach. This is all about disidentification. You really have to internalize a profound truth. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. Overthinking loses almost all of its power the moment you detach your identity from the noise. The great Eckhart Tolle reminds us that overthinking is usually just your mind time-traveling to a fictional future, trying to maintain control. To counter this, you step back into the present as the watcher. Think of it like this. If your thoughts are cars in traffic, you're standing on the sidewalk watching them go by. You aren't jumping into the road to stop them. Michael Singer advises something really similar. Lean back into your core consciousness and just let that anxious energy pass right through you like clouds moving across the sky. Researcher Brené Brown offers this masterful linguistic framework for this process of detachment. When your mind spins up a catastrophic scenario, like convincing yourself you're going to get fired over a tiny typo, say this exact phrase out loud. The story I am telling myself right now is. This is a total game changer because it externalizes the narrative. It takes this overwhelming absolute reality that your brain is screaming at you and shrinks it down into just a subjective story. Suddenly, it's just a rough draft. And if it's just a draft, it means you can instantly challenge it, edit it, and rewrite it. Moving to part 5, spot, stop, swap, the monk protocol. Breaking a habit requires intentional awareness, tracking your environment, and making deliberate cognitive upgrades. You can't just wish overthinking away, right? You have to actively reprogram the behavior. Let's look at how Jay Shetty's monk framework tackles this. First, you spot. You cultivate the self-awareness to notice the exact second you fall into a loop. Next, you stop. Pause and identify the trigger. Are you doom scrolling? Are you just exhausted? Finally, you swap. You force a cognitive pivot. You swap that toxic environment or thought for something higher, like a breathwork exercise, going for a quick walk, or jumping into an intentional task. You deliberately replace the bad habit with a constructive one. You can totally supercharge this swap by integrating Deepak Chopra's law of detachment. When you execute the swap, you must accept that you simply can't control every variable of the future. It's tough, but it's true. Overthinking is honestly just a desperate attempt to control the uncontrollable. But by trading your demand for absolute control for a deep, quiet trust in your own capability to handle whatever comes your way, you completely neutralize the primary fuel source of your anxiety. Ramping the energy back up for part 6, dump, decide, execute, the final protocol. Here's the truth. Clarity is never, ever generated by sitting still. Rumination will always expand to fill whatever empty space you give it in your head. Instead, clarity is generated through externalization and immediate directional momentum. Try this incredible 3-step sequence. First, Robin Sharma advocates for the brain dump. Physically write down everything crowding your mind to clear out your working memory. Get it out of your head. Second, use Simon Sinek's framework to zoom out from the overwhelming how and anchor back to your macro why, because your core purpose cuts right through the noise. Finally, Tony Robbins insists you never leave the site of a decision without taking an immediate micro-action. Set a non-negotiable deadline and do the smallest possible real-world step right now. Real-world feedback will always, always beat imagination. Bringing it all together in part 7, the prescription. Regaining momentum. As we wrap up this explainer, we want to consolidate everything into a single, unbreakable 4-step synthesis to shatter overthinking. Remember this absolute rule. The next time you lock into a mental spiral, you cannot think your way out of it. Thinking got you into the trap. Only action will get you out. So here is your prescription. 1. Move your body drastically to shatter that stagnant physical state. 2. Count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to snap your focus and hijack your brain's fear center. 3. Name the narrative by saying, the story I'm telling myself is, to externalize the anxiety. And 4. Take one tiny, imperfect action to generate immediate clarity. I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought to spark your momentum today. Look at the problem you've been overthinking all week. We all have one. What is the absolute smallest, most imperfect action you can take on it right now? Seriously, don't wait for the perfect plan. Start messy. Start right now. And let momentum be your guide. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Now go out there and take that first step.